This is take 4,256 of me trying to get my first video up. Damn it, I need to make this happen. So I'm doing the take one. Take all that number. YouTubes are hard. I'm not gonna lie. This is not an easy thing. And I apologize. I'm not a makeup person. You will definitely not see me on here as a makeup influencer. There ain't no way. Because I don't wear makeup. So this is me. I don't have enough energy. I love makeup. I just don't have the energy. And that's neither here nor there. Hello to everybody. This is my first video posting up. My name is Erin. I am a resident of Colorado. I've lived in Colorado for most of my life. And so as you might see on my banner and my reason for posting, I'm 1, a nurse, and I'm 2, a patient with MS. So I'm bringing those two things together because it seems like there's not, when you YouTube search things, it doesn't come up so easily. So I'm looking to make a change there and how I can help others. So if you're looking to find solace in being a nurse, I'm definitely about that and navigating your way and trying to figure something out, because yes, we are all part of there's a lot of us that are part of the ranks of we're severely burnt out. And that also leads into mental health. And then on the other side, if you're an MS patient, and especially if you might have had a new diagnosis, but anybody that fits in the circle there, it's kind of a bitch of a disease to go through. So, and I'm putting mildly bitch, it can be very much of a bitch. So I want to help those two navigate that. So it kind of helps out that I'm a nurse, so I have a little bit of knowledge there. And not just the stuff that you see where it's just going over. I want to talk about the real stuff. So yes, I know there's lots of celebrities that do, but the good news is I've got some, I'd like to think anyway, I've got some medical little bit insight on it. So that is what I'm about. So my introductory story, let's start with the year 2015, even though I can technically probably go back to about, symptoms wise, I can go back to about 2008, 2009, which also correlates because that's when I had started my healthcare journey. I was a CNA for a good 6 years before I became a nurse, and tried to learn the ropes and just understand the whole, what it's like being in the healthcare. And after almost 20 years, it's not good. So anyway, that's about when I can trace my symptoms back. So back when I was a CNA, I can recall having things go numb intermittently. And to sidecast that, we all know, or those of us that have dealt with MS or dealing with MS, there's a whole slew of symptoms that can come along with this disease. So that was just one, for me, that's what it was. It was the numbness and tingling. That's my primary symptom. I just thought it was a pinched nerve though. Didn't think anything of it. So fast forward to 2015, I had graduated. I graduated in December as a nurse and was scared to death of taking boards. So I delayed it a little bit. So I officially didn't become a nurse until 2015 and got my job. And the story begins where May 6th, 2015, and those of you nurses know the significance of that day, which I don't know why, because it's kind of middle of the week, but that's supposed to be the start of Nurses Week. I woke up that day and I was numb from the waist down. So numb from the waist down and starting my new grad, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, green as could be nursing job. Thinking I'm going, okay, sucks. What am I going to do? I kind of ultimately just kind of decide because I'd had those experiences. So I thought, well, I'll just kind of through it, because my main concern at the time was being a nurse. I thought, well, that's the main project at hand, and I want to learn how to be a nurse, right? And figure out the whole process. So I was able to walk. I didn't have any issues really. It was just weird. It was a very weird sensation. I can attribute it to those of you that don't have MS that might be watching this and I'm going back there because I am an older person. Back in the day when you play Nintendo and you'd be sitting there in front of the TV and sitting on your knees and you kind of so into the game, kind of about it, you wait, you stand up and you got that, oh God, pins and needles, and wait for the blood to rush back down. Well, that's what I had, only it was never left. It was nonstop. Yeah, very strange. You can still walk, of course, as we could when we were kids. You just have to kind of about it maybe just a little bit more. I'd catch myself stumbling every now and then, but it wasn't anything that I was like concerned about at least at the time. So, and I figured it would go away as my symptoms in the past, back in the days of 2008, 2009, as I had referenced, it would just come and go. So I figured, okay, well, this will go away. It didn't. It didn't go away. And so I started to get very, very nervous. I was able to got a small dose of prednisone, and I took that. And those of you also, again, going back, it's a very small dose of steroids in the grand scheme of what they normally give in the middle of a flare. But that said, it worked. I took the taper dose, and which I think is about, not to get all technical, but I think it's about 40 milligrams. You can check me out there if I'm wrong. And it came back. Luckily I got sensation back in my legs, and that was great. Then I ended up with numbness and tingling all up here, and this tightness which is known as the MS hug. I was like, okay, sucks, but we'll keep going. So I would say it was around June. It had to have been June. And I finally said, okay, I got to figure this out. What's going on here? Again, thinking it was a pinched nerve or something more orthopedic. That's the doctor I went to go see. It was an orthopedic doctor. And he ran me all through, checked me out, did all the things, and I don't really see anything wrong here. I didn't have any discs or anything that would have caused any nerve pinching. And he said, well, tell me a little bit more about your situation or what you're experiencing. So I did. And he reared back and went, well, that sounds like MS. To which my reaction was like, okay, sarcastic. Because as a nurse, we're not really taught anything about MS. We're strictly, as I recall, and those of you can identify with this, all I remember was going, MS stands for myelin sheath, which is what's affected. Okay, move on, next section. And that's really it, because they're like, oh, we just want to remember that for the test. Okay, don't know much more than that. Over maybe a little bit of medications, but it's just not very in-depth because, and even from that time, not to sidetrack too much, but even from that time, they probably didn't know even anywhere near maybe what they know now about MS. I know they're constantly learning, but it's been a newer type thing. And I guess there's been celebrities out there that have shed more light on the disease. So he said, the orthopedic doctor said, well, on that note, I'm going to refer you to a neurologist just to kind of things out our butts a little bit, cover the bases. So he gave me a heads up. This doctor was a little on the different side. Nice guy, meant well, just a little bit odd bedside manner. So I went to go see him, and I believe July 19th is when my diagnosis date anniversary comes up. And that's when I was diagnosed. And I remember that sensation of in the gut. And even though I'm a nurse, I couldn't help but feel, have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh my God, I'm going to die. Because I'm sorry, it's kind of natural. You just have a doctor standing in front of you, diagnosing you with something. You're like, whoa, a lot to process. So I remember being very upset, calling my mom, crying, all the things. And, it's going to be all right. We'll figure it out, that kind of thing. So the doctor basically diagnosed me and then went like that. Keeping in mind here, I'm still having this symptom. So for me, I was having difficulty. It was much worse. I really would have, if I could trade off, I probably would have preferred to go back to the numbness from the waist down, because at least then I could still function. Where now, I'm having difficulty holding a cup. I had to do it with both hands. I was like a little kid in a sippy cup. I couldn't hold a pen very well. It was very hard throughout that process, but I still managed through my training, as a new grad, I still managed to get through okay. I kind of would go away again. I said, well, okay, he's going to treat me, which I thought was strange. And I thought, maybe this will go away. Brings us to August. I remember I went camping. I came home and it still hadn't gone away. And I was reaching a point of frustration at that time and thought, okay, screw this. I'm going to the ER. And it's kind of an urgent care ER. Yes, I know. We'll talk about all that. But nonetheless, I was like, I got to get something figured out here. So went to the ER. They're there, of course, being an ER doc, necessarily a specialist, but he did manage to kind of thing in research. He says, well, we're going to have to do a heavy dose of steroids. And ended up being, I took the 5 grams. I know it's anywhere, sometimes it differs. Some doctors do 3 grams for 5. I did the 5. And so luckily, after that, my sensation managed to return. So I was okay for the time being. However, I was also in the waiting line as previous neurologist, my first doctor that diagnosed me. He just ultimately referred me to a special place here, specialties. It's called the MS Center. And that's where I started my ultimate treatment journey for the most part. Not to say that wasn't without a lot of trials and tribulations. So I will definitely go into all of that. So luckily, end of the story being that I've been doing well. I'm very fortunate that I kind of milder case a little bit, so to speak, even though I don't know if it totally is. It differs from person to person. We're all dealt different hands. And I feel for those, just to kind of out there, I definitely feel for those out there that have really gotten a shit hand. It goes out to you because this sucks. It just does. So very fortunate there. And I don't take that for granted. Well, be told maybe I do a little bit because I have to think about my disease every day, and I don't for the most part. So that's a good thing. So that said, I've navigated the disease. I've been doing well. Then on the other hand, I've got the whole nursing thing. It's been a very struggle situation, especially of late. But I basically pull the nursing thing aligned with the MS because to me, the two things that I have in common is mental health. And I've been really big about trying to really do some self-preservation for myself, for my health. And COVID didn't help. I was certainly one of those ones who I will give you guys the credit out there on the East Coast. I think you guys really went through the shit, and other places, I don't know where else throughout the US where, you really allowed one mask and had to recycle your PPE, which is completely atrocious. But we didn't know how to handle this, right? The whole COVID thing was just a complete dumpster fire. So I didn't have it as bad, but I did experience life in the ICU, at least for this area, and it still wasn't fun. Which I have good stories there too to talk about. So what I'm about here, this channel is going to be about bringing some sort of figuring things out